With its unique, some would say stubborn design approach, Subaru has been stealing the hearts of car lovers for decades, and now it prepares a big set of novelties for the next year. A set of novelties that guarantee a few more hearts stolen. Therefore, make sure to stay with us and learn more about Subaru CEO announcing 5 new car models for 2024 that are about to wow everybody. Number 5. Subaru Baja. From today's perspective, it's obvious that the original Baja was way ahead of its time. Produced in the early 2000s, it was pretty much what the Maverick is today, but more capable and way more fun to drive. Unfortunately, the market wasn't ready for such a model back then. Nevertheless, the old Baja left a great mark in Subaru's history, so the latest reports that suggest its comeback don't surprise at all. Today's market is crazy about small pickups because of their all-around design, and of course, Subaru wants a piece of that cake. The new Baja is allegedly in development, and it is expected to arrive along with the next generation Outback, on which the old model was also heavily based. All in all, we expect to see the same overall design approach. An attractive double-cab pickup body style will come in a combination with strong performance, ensured by Subaru's excellent all-wheel drive and boxer engines. Speaking of the engines, we presume base models would come naturally aspirated, while the more expensive variants would get a turbocharger, just like in the case of the Outback. And thanks to a design that's heavily based on the famous wagon, the new Baja will feature a more advanced suspension setup than its rivals, which means that it won't just be more capable off the road, it should offer a superior driving experience on the road as well. On the inside, we expect the same layout as in the next generation Outback, which is yet to be announced. 2 comfortable rows of seats in a combination with modern dashboard design and a solid amount of tech features is a safe bet, but the new Baja might also utilize the same or similar midgate design as the old model, as well as the bed extender, which would allow much longer items and make the Baja way more flexible than the competition. Number 4. Subaru Brat. The older generation remembers very well that small but pretty capable Subaru pickup, which also became famous for these jump seats in the cargo bed. Of course, due to safety regulations, we won't be seeing those seats anymore, but it looks like we're about to see the famous nameplate again. Namely, Subaru is willing to compete in the new compact unibody pickup segment, and for that, it may introduce something smaller, simpler, and therefore more affordable than the Baja. While the Baja would come based on the mid-size Outback, the Brat would share its part with something much smaller, something like the recently redesigned Crosstrek. The subcompact crossover is very fresh and competent in every aspect, so it would be an excellent base for the new pickup. It would borrow most of the parts, including the same or very similar exterior and interior design. This also means that Subaru's pickup would be smaller than the competition. It'd be smaller and more maneuverable and easier to drive, which may actually be an advantage despite the smaller cabin and most likely shorter cargo bed. The latter might be compensated with a midgate design or some similar technical solution which would ensure decent bed extension. Under the hood, we presume that the new pickup would rely on the 2.5-liter flat 4 with 182 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque, which would ensure similar performance to the base versions or rival models. Also worth mentioning is that the recently redesigned Crosstrek dropped the manual gearbox from the offer, so the Brat might also come only with a CVT. Standard all-wheel drive and decent off-road potential are definitely some of the key advantages over the competition that come to mind, but there's also the matter of price. Smaller and based on a subcompact rather than a compact crossover means that the new Brat has to be notably more affordable than, let's say, the Maverick, which starts at around $25,000 with the Turbo 4 engine and $26,500 in the hybrid variant. Number 3. Subaru WRX STI. In the second half of 2024, the current generation of Subaru's performance sedan will enter the 4th production year, and if you're a genuine Subaru fan, you know what that means, considering the company's strict policy regarding production cycles. The WRX is about to get a mid-cycle refresh. The refresh by itself shouldn't be particularly interesting, considering that the company is usually quite modest with in-cycle updates, but on the other hand, it may bring one important novelty, something we've been missing so badly from the moment the current generation was launched. Namely, it looks like the STI moniker might come back. There are reports that suggest we could see the WRX in its hottest iteration once again. As usual, that version would bring all kinds of upgrades, whether it's about suspension, brakes, chassis reinforcements, or visual enhancement. But we all know what you're interested in most. Of course, we're talking about the engine. The current generation, available only in the standard version, features a newer generation 2.4-liter turbo flat 4 with a max output of 271 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, and that's not bad at all. It's not what you get from the hottest compact sedans and hatchbacks on the market, such as the Honda Civic Type R or the VW Golf R. The WRX STI would make things right and bring a much-needed power upgrade. We don't expect it to feature an EJ engine, but rather an upgraded variant of the same 2.4-liter unit, and while it's still early for the exact numbers, we presume that it could be a little bit more compared to the previous STI, which was rated at 305 horsepower. And unlike the standard WRX, which is available either with a manual transmission or CVT, the STI would come exclusively with a 6-speed manual. Number 2. Subaru Forester. The Forester is definitely one of the most important models for this Japanese manufacturer, and no, it's not just about sales numbers. This model perfectly showcases Subaru's uniqueness, making it special in an otherwise not exciting at all segment of compact SUVs, where most other models look very similar and not particularly inspiring. Of course, the Forester stands out with its superior all-wheel drive system and boxer engines, but it isn't without flaws. It has never been the most stylish model around, and the cabin always looked somehow outdated. Well, that's going to change with the new generation, which will hit the market in the next year. The first thing you'll notice about the new model is that it ditches those C-shaped headlights from the outgoing generation. It looks bolder and more muscular, and also utilizes 19-inch wheels with bigger tires, while the front face seems to take a bit of inspiration from models of some other car makers, such as the Ford Explorer and Honda Pilot. In any case, we like the new look very much. On the inside, the first thing that you'll notice is a massive vertically oriented infotainment screen, the same one you can find in the recently redesigned Crosstrek. The cabin looks more elegant than before, while a typical Subaru lover will certainly like the fact that the instrument cluster remains analog. Under the hood, the next generation Forester is likely to continue with the good old 2.5-liter flat 4. Currently rated at 182 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque, it may get a slight upgrade. Some sources also speculate about a comeback of the performance-oriented XT model, which would feature a turbocharged 2.4-liter boxer unit. And while the XT's comeback is still uncertain, the wilderness is pretty much a certain thing, with all kinds of off-road upgrades, including increased ground clearance, all-terrain tires, skid plates, and unique styling bits. Number 1. Subaru Outback. With a combination of reliability, safety features, go-anywhere attitude, and traditional values of a station wagon, the Outback represents Subaru's uniqueness in the best possible way. A few decades ago, Subaru established a whole new segment with this model, and it seems like, even today, no one is able to make such a fantastic blend of crossover and wagon design solutions, not even premium car makers like Audi or Volvo. With all that said, the next year will be particularly important for the Japanese carmaker because the next generation is about to come. The 7th iteration of the iconic crossover wagon will hit the market sometime in the second half of 2024, and we have no doubt it'll bring a lot of novelties. Considering the model's impeccable degree, we're pretty sure there will be no radical changes. This will be an evolution of what some like to call a perfect design. Once again, Subaru will put focus on combining off-road potential, comfort, and practicality in the best possible way and pack it in a modern, more appealing package. Under the hood, we expect the new Outback to carry on with 2 familiar powertrain options, one naturally aspirated and one turbocharger. Of course, a slight power increase is expected. And while the overall layout is about to remain the same, the next generation Outback will bring a completely new, more attractive styling as well as a completely new interior. Speaking of the interior, the overall layout will remain the same, but we definitely expect to see a more stylish dashboard design with the latest tech features, including a massive vertically oriented infotainment screen found in the most recent Subaru models. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.